Well, hello, North Valley's church plant. Here we are. We're in the North Valley. I know this place must be familiar to you. We had our house church here over the summer, and it was fabulous. Well, I'm Nathan. I'm one of the pastors for the North Valley plant, and I'm here with Pastor Michael Cox, and I'm here with our elder in training, Tim Woda. And I'm really excited to be here with these gentlemen as we just kick off this year and we begin our North Valley church plant. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm not just excited about being here with them, but I'm excited about you, because here's what I've been learning as we've just been going into this year: that God wants to do something in the North Valleys, that God has a church in the making that's already here, and all He's calling us to do is to respond to what He's already doing here in the North Valley. So we're really excited about inviting you into that. So the reason why we are here today is just to give you some details about this year. Now, this is not the normal 5 or 6 minute video, and so it may take 10 minutes, but here's what I want to say to you. Take time to get this information. It's very important. We need you to know this information as we go forward and as we move towards a church plant for next year. And so you might watch this video in a couple of different parts, but truly take time to watch it and hear the information that's going to be shared with you here today. And so, as I stated, long before we even got to this point, God has been building a church here in the North Valley. And so what I want to do is I just want to go into a few details about that, talk about a framework and a time frame that we'll have throughout this year and what that looks like a little bit, some of the training that we would do, and some of the things that we're going to ask you to participate with us in. And so this year, as of January 1st, I've turned my attention all to the North Valley. And so I'm off the Reno staff, and I am working in the North Valley towards the North Valley church plant. And what that looks like for us this year is the first 3 months is going to be training for me, Michael, and Tim. We're going to be in a church plant cohort with Pastor Kyle and Pastor Mark South from the Sparks Church. And so the first 3 months is going to be training for us. After that, what's going to happen is there's going to be a core team of people that is gathered to train with us for the remainder of the year. And so that's going to be that part of kind of the church plant training for the year as we go towards January 2022 church launch. Also, what we're going to have throughout this year is we're going to have some community events that will take place. And so we will give you information about that as we go along and as we prepare to move into those community events also. So we're going to do that the first part of the year. The next part of that is going to be just the movement that we begin as a church, and all of you being involved as we go out throughout the year. And so look for the information and details that will be coming your way. And we truly want you to be excited about what God is doing out here. And please know that this church plant doesn't happen without you. And God has called you and I to step into this, that it may be for His glory and for His good. And so we're really excited about that. Pastor Michael here is going to talk about a few things also as we look at what does it look like for you and as we go throughout this year in planting the North Valley's church.
Awesome. Thanks, Nate. So one of the first things that we did as a group of guys was we sat down and looked at the book of Acts. And we looked at how God started His church. How did he do things? And what we saw was that church planting started before the apostles and the disciples even reached a certain area. So by that, we know that God calls us to enter into an area. And a lot of you are already up here in the North Valleys. Some of you who might see this video, you aren't up in the North Valleys, but you're feeling God's prompting and calling to come up to the North Valleys. We would encourage you to pray about that, to seek God's face in that, and also to talk with us, have conversations with us, and with your current leaders, maybe your community group leader, maybe people who are close to you, to what it looks like to enter into the North Valleys area. Entering into the North Valleys area means you're just taking up residence here. You are committed to this area. The next step in that is to engage the North Valleys area. So we've entered in, and now how do you engage an area for the gospel of Jesus Christ? Well, you don't just walk up to your neighbor and say, hey, come to this weird thing with me. We just sing, raise our hands, and then we hear from this ancient book. It's just not going to work. We got to engage people on another level. So one of the things that we're excited about, and we are asking you to do, is before the end of January, we're going to start something, and we're asking you to participate in a Better Neighbor initiative. And what that would look like is we're taking advantage of the rhythm. That's the word I was looking for. We're looking to take advantage of the natural rhythm of a new year. And so we're asking you to engage with your neighbors, those closest to you, maybe next door, across the street, down the street, maybe people you've never even met before. And you can go down to their house, send them a letter, maybe something along those lines, and say, hey, for January 2021, I'm starting to be a better neighbor. I want to be a better neighbor to those around me. This is an opportunity for you to introduce yourself, and then maybe just provide a small gift, a gift card to a grocery store or to a coffee place. Maybe invite neighbors out for coffee, and just use the natural rhythm of a new year to engage your neighbors. And also, if you just happen to find yourself at the grocery store, the gas station, you're going to find people who are already embedded in this area. Mm-hmm. They are committed out here. They have a job, a vocation out here. And we would ask you, just start introducing yourself to them. Get to know the people who you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. And one of the most fruitful ways, one of the easiest ways that you can engage with people on a spiritual level is to offer prayer. It's as simple as saying, hey, how could I pray for you? How could I pray for you this year? I'm committing to praying for those in my neighborhood, in my city, in my area. So how could I pray for you? This demonstrates the love of God, that God enters into our situation and seeks to serve us. Rather than asking people to come to us, we're going out to them. And lastly, once we've engaged the culture, after entering it, we appeal to the culture. We appeal to the area where we're at. And this means that after you've established a relationship over this next year, you begin to ask people what their relationship with God is like. What do they know about Jesus? What do they know about the Bible? Because once you've established that trusting relationship with them, the walls have come down. The guard is down. And this is a chance for you to enter in and serve them the way that Jesus would call you to serve them. So this is just a reminder, brothers and sisters, that church planting doesn't start when we've got a building or a worship gathering. It starts now with you and I entering, engaging, and appealing to those around us. So now Tim's going to talk about some of the practical stuff coming up and some of the goals, the markers that we have to meet for this next year.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. So as far as the goals are concerned, there are some very practical things that we need to do throughout the course of the year, some markers that we need to hit. And there's 6 of them specifically that as a church plant family, we really need to commit to and achieve in order to launch out successfully in January 22. First one is that we need to have 6 to 8 healthy community groups. So we've got good progress in this regard. We've got some really great community groups that have already started, but if you've considered leading a community group, now might be the time to talk to Nathan, Michael, or myself, or your community group leader about stepping into that, because we need 6 to 8 healthy, thriving, growing community groups to move forward. As we mentioned before, there's going to be some community events. Nathan mentioned these. We need to have 3 community events. We also need to, as part of this, develop 30 leaders. And so let me just take a moment to define what a leader is, because sometimes it's really easy to not see ourselves as a leader. A leader is really someone who's willing to step in when they're called upon. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're leading on all things all the time, but they're willing to step in when asked. They're people who are committed to being a part of the church plant, and they're asking the question, what can I do to help? How can I participate? Those are leaders. So we need 30 individual leaders. We also need to, the very practical piece, we need to find and secure a location. So that's going to be a big part of what this team is working on, and obviously if you have some ideas too, we won't turn them down. We'll appreciate those. The last 2 things is that we need to build a staff, and we need to raise $100,000 in capital, in funds. So you're going to hear more about that throughout the course of the year. But just from a practical perspective, I just want to talk about some things that you might consider doing now. Namely, consider praying about whether you might participate sacrificially in giving towards that number throughout 2021. So this would be above and beyond your normal giving to tithing in the Reno church. Obviously, that's our sending church, and we
Yes.
want to support that church and be all in for that church, so that they can be all in for us. So any giving that you would do would be above and beyond your normal tithing. Now, to make that simple to execute on, what you can do is the church is adding to Realm in the giving section the ability for when you put in your gift to the church, you can select from a drop-down menu to choose where you want that to go. You've probably done that in the past. There's going to be a new option, which will be for the North Valley Church Plant, and so you can do that in addition to your tithe, and that'll go towards that 100,000 goal that we need to hit.
Yeah. So thank you. Well, we are really excited about this year, and there'll be more information to come. We're going to keep you informed as best as possible. We want you on this journey with us as much as you can be. We know the gospel is a movement, and then when we start this year, we want to start with you, and that this movement of the gospel moves forth in the North Valley. So continue to pray. Join us with prayer nights that we'll be having at the church, even for the North Valley. So we're going to invite you into those things that we're looking forward to stepping into this year as we move towards this church plant. And we're just going to allow God to use us in the North Valleys for His glory. And we're really excited about this year with you. And so thank you. We look forward to seeing you and meeting with you and talking about what God is going to be doing out here in the North Valleys. And we will see you soon. Thank you.
bless.
Bye.
God bless. See ya.